What's up, everybody? Welcome to ign-gamescoop. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. I'm joined today by Marty Sleva.
Hey, guys.
Brian Albert.
Hello.
And Gearbox's Andrew Goldfarb.
Hi.
Joining us.
He's back.
We're here at the loudest, sweatiest, hottest place on God's green earth.
I'm amazed I can hear you at all.
Gamescom in Cologne, Germany. We've been here all week.
Yep.
Whew, what a show it's been.
Yeah.
It's been good.
I'm amazed. I still have a voice. I'm amazed that we haven't been taken down by the throngs of League of Legends fans
They're
that
terrified.
are chanting.
They are
right over here.
legitimately terrified.
We know people like Mitch and Leah, like you guys, you are League of Legends people. Are you like that?
Absolutely. I'm not quite
Yes?
that loud. They're pretty rowdy. But then, we
That's
got
great.
Wargaming right over there as well.
Yeah, Wargaming booth is over here. And NVIDIA, why is NVIDIA so loud and popular?
Because they're giving away like shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
And people are like fist fighting over them.
The takeaway from Gamescom is offer a German a free t-shirt, they will lose their freaking mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were showing off a video on like particle physics and everyone was like cheering and jumping. I was like, okay.
Germans love
Great.
particle
But
physics.
I mean, that's for like PAX too, though. I don't think that's only a German thing. Sure.
I
defending
Maybe it's a little
Germans
more
go far.
enthusiastic here.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
As an expert in German culture, I can tell you. Your Canada shirt.
We've seen a bunch of games this week that we got to talk about. Big announcements. Why don't we start with the first-party press conferences? Both Microsoft and Sony had conferences earlier this week. Sort of see if we can determine who had the stronger showing. Let's start with Sony.
Yes, I was at Sony, and what I really liked is, like Microsoft, they focused on games. They had the one moment where, obviously, they are outselling the Xbox One, so they were able to brag that they've sold through 10 million units, and it's like, well, they're going to do that.
Let's note that that latest number, since Microsoft hasn't given an update, is almost a 2-to-1.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Number.
Right.
That's impressive. That being said, both of the systems are selling like 80% higher than the previous generation did at this time period. So, regardless of the divide, it's an amazing time for gamers.
Sure.
Console gaming, not dead.
Who would have thunk it?
Cool.
Heard it here first.
But for me, Sony, sort of the big things were, again, focusing on the indie movement.
Yeah, lots of indie games.
Lots of indie games, and then showing off a couple sort of reboots and reimaginings of the games that we saw a couple of years ago. So where do you want to start with that?
Why don't we start with a new game from a developer that started out making a PlayStation 3 exclusive, Ninja Theory.
Yeah.
Unveiled their new game, Hellblade.
Yeah.
Which, as you guys just realized, is sort of the opposite of their game, Heavenly Sword.
That just blew my mind.
Hellblade. They showed a new trailer.
Yeah.
And it looked like, here we're seeing it here.
Yeah.
Tonally, aesthetically, it kind of looks like Heavenly Sword. A lot of people thought this was going to be Heavenly Sword 2.
It's also
was pointing
weird
out that like someone looks like the sister.
character. Yeah.
So it's like it's.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the same universe.
Yeah.
And the names are so freaking similar that it's possible that's spooky. I don't like this spooky stuff.
If nothing else, it's like the Dark Souls, Demon Souls thing where it's like very similar in tone and in
Same
idea.
with Bloodborne,
And this character also sort of looks like Nariko, the main character from Heavenly Sword.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought it was Heavenly Sword too.
And we didn't get to see. I was hoping they'd show something on the show floor, like a behind closed door demo of maybe gameplay or something, but we didn't get to see that. But the trailer was cool. I like Heavenly Sword. I love Enslaved, and I thought DMC was really cool. So these guys, they know how to make really cool, stylish action games. So I feel like, after Bayonetta 2 comes out and Scalebound, we're not going to have a whole lot of them. So hopefully this is rad. And we don't know anything about it, though.
The developers were talking about how they want this to be a AAA indie game.
Right.
Like that's the sort of approach to development they're taking.
That's not the first time I've heard that here as well.
Yeah.
It seems to be a new thing people are chasing.
Yeah, so with Sony a lot too. With stuff like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture and The Witness, they have these indie games, but when you look at them, you're like, well, these are just as good looking as anything else.
Yeah.
And Sony's funding a lot of it, so more and more now the term indie is just nebulous. It doesn't really mean anything.
It's sort of like dealing with like strange themes and like weird experimental gameplay, but it still has like the production values of a bigger game. Is what it seems to be.
Yeah.
It could also hint at the distribution method. I imagine it'll be a downloadable game, no retail release.
It probably just means like I don't know. I guess Sony must be publishing it, or
I would imagine.
The fact it was on the Sony stage, I would guess.
So that's a lot of the weird thing with these conferences is when they show games that aren't necessarily first party, our mind sort of gravitates and makes the connection. Like, well, these are going to be exclusives. But unless they say it, we don't really know. And even with that, exclusive doesn't really mean anything anymore.
Yeah, right.
Well, we'll get to that later.
Exactly.
It does mean a great deal. I think they said that Heavenly Sword or Hellblade's going to come to PlayStation first, but then will also come to other platforms, just like Enslaved did and DMC.
It's one of those interesting things where like Heavenly Sword is such a PlayStation franchise that
you have to associate it with that platform first anyway. I think even if it was announced for multi-platform, most people would be PlayStation gamers. You would have to assume.
Yeah.
Or Wii U gamers. Wii U gamers.
Oh yeah, Wii U exclusive.
That's a Nintendo video game system.
One of the coolest looking games at the Sony conference I thought was Wild.
Yeah.
The new one from Michael Ansel?
Michel.
This came out of nowhere.
Michel Ansel. Sorry.
Yeah, so this was really weird because it's the new indie game by Michel Ansel, who is also still like one of the higher ups at Ubisoft.
Yeah, it's sort of like what they did with Patrick Plord for Child of Light, except rather than making what's essentially an indie game within Ubisoft, they let him literally splinter off and do his own studio while still maintaining his Ubisoft responsibilities.
So I mean, we're seeing it here. You know, the game looks awesome. It's quite set in this like.
There's a skeleton following you.
I mean, I love this.
Turn
like,
around.
There's wolves and like you're on horseback. This guy's never wearing a shirt.
No, he's not going to put on a shirt. When you're built like that, you don't want to hide away the goods.
So this was BS before shirts.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is when this
BS
game takes place.
So you can also play as any of the animals.
Yeah,
correct?
like
and what is this horrifying thing?
Yeah, the terrifying mud
Clayman.
monster.
She's just stealing eggs. Yeah, it looks really cool. It feels like you can inhabit a lot of the animals. There's obviously this like of the world, spooky skeletons. I love this.
Underwater skeleton, giant.
Brian, these are old gods. The remnants of old
We've
gods.
angered them again.
Yeah, it looks cool. It looks like, I mean, we don't know what the gameplay itself is like, but it sort of looks like a multiplayer Mark of the Cree, if you guys remember that game from PS2.
Yeah.
I don't know, it looks really cool. Michel Ansel is rad.
Yeah, I mean, it's just cool to see something from his mind in this style, because obviously Rayman, like the fun thing about Rayman is it can do whatever it wants. Like there's no like set canon or type of world. It can go to a chef's lava, or it can go to like some random castle or whatever.
Cute. That was really cute. That was really cute.
I think this is cool because it's almost like more closer to like the Beyond Good and Evil art style, but with like that same crazy randomness.
Yeah, giant tree woman. I love how Damon's just animatedly reacting to what's going on right now.
You can't even see me at all.
Yeah,
that game looks awesome.
Yeah, it does.
The tagline that Michelle said was, "It's set 10,000 years ago when nature and humanity were one."
Before we ruined everything.
Yeah, before we effed everything up.
Before we were gross and left our trash everywhere.
Thanks, humans. Thanks, Gamescom.
Okay, Housemarque is a big PlayStation developer.
Yep, Super Stardust, Detonation.
And what was the PS4 launch game?
Resogun.
Resolution Gun. Resolution Gun.
It's been so long.
They announced their new game, Alienation, which, I don't know, I like Housemarque a lot, but I wasn't terribly like impressed by what they showed here. It kind of it looks like another top-down twin-stick shooter, sort of like Detonation, just with swapping out zombies with aliens.
It looks exactly like that. I'm a little, the guys are immensely talented.
Oh yeah, I love
Resogun is still one of my favorite games on PS4, so I just wish they would do something a little bit different, something slightly outside the wheelhouse. And I think I'm the only one, I saw Geometry Wars 3 here, and to me that looked cooler.
Do you know about platforms for that one?
It's everything. It's 360, Xbox One, PS3, PS4, and PC.
Let's hold that for later in the show. I totally want to hear about that. Put that in the
old mouthful.
I was going to say Spank Bank, but that doesn't apply at all.
Put it in the Spank Bank.
Unless it was that good that you think you're going to masturbate to it.
What is happening? It is 11 in the morning, Damon. But that's true.
Yeah, no, what do you guys think about Alienation?
I'm just ready for more from Housemarque. I don't play...
Let me help you out.
Thanks.
Thank
you.
Just put it in his mouth. What is happening?
I don't play a lot of twin-stick shooters. So
I think I made it worse.
It'll be fine. So when they come out, especially with the quality that they are from Housemarque, I'm ready for them at the time because it's not a super popular genre that I play a lot.
I mean, they have the pedigree to make it incredible. Like it's so early, and that's literally all we've seen. That like I have no doubt that like after Resogun, I feel like I have a lot of trust in them, and I want to see more.
Yeah.
Marty, you're excited about Tearaway Unfolded.
I am way too excited about Tearaway Unfolded.
Me too. This is probably the most exciting announcement of the show for me.
Yeah.
For me personally. Yeah.
So Tearaway it's a Vita game.
Yep.
Coming to PS4 now.
Yeah. So Tearaway is my favorite Vita game. I know Goldfarb loves it. Krupa, who reviewed it for us, loves it. Not enough people played it. Not nearly enough people played it. And the whole thing was I didn't expect a port to be able to exist because the game is so intrinsically designed to the Vita.
For the touchscreen.
For the touchscreen,
and the pad on the back.
For the camera, for the ability, for like the gyro sensors, for being able to blow on the screen.
And it somehow didn't feel gimmicky either.
Yeah. But what's interesting is, so what you see here is they're redesigning. This game it's not a remake. It's not a sequel, but it's not just like a port.
It can't be. Like that's what's so interesting. Like it has to be like the plot of the game in Tearaway revolves around your face in the front-facing camera. So like already it can't even be following the same basic trajectory.
Right, you're like a sun god or something.
Yeah,
right?
like you're in the sun and you're trying to get to yourself, basically.
So they did say the game is going to adapt whether you have an eye or whether you don't, like the PlayStation Eye. So you see here it's doing a lot of cool things with the controller. I mean, this game was incredible. I hope that when it comes to PS4, a lot more people get to play it. You see here you can shine a light inside the world, sort of you can gather objects inside of your controller and feel them. Yeah, I mean, Media Molecule's one of the most creative, big developers around, and so I'm all aboard this game.
They give a release window on that?
Next year.
Next year.
I mean, I think it's interesting to me that, like, we also saw Unfinished Swan and Journey announced for, kind of being up-res to PS4, but this game in particular, like, is so pretty on the Vita, and I feel like on PS4 especially, like, if you see, especially the later parts of that game that are so pretty anyway, like in 1080p or whatever, that's so exciting.
You love 1080ps.
If it doesn't have 1080ps, I don't want it.
1079ps, get out of here.
Nope. Marty, Brian, you guys were talking about the vanishing of Ethan Carter.
Yeah.
Coming to PS4.
Yes, PS4. It's console first PS4. It's going to be PC first.
We actually haven't seen much about this for a very long time.
Yeah, like we knew it existed. It's by an indie studio called The Astronauts, but they're made up almost primarily of guys from People Can Fly, who worked on Bulletstorm and Gears of War Judgment. It's this gorgeous first-person, story-based exploration game. It's like, think of Gone Home, where everybody's gone to the Rapture.
And then Ethan Carter is like this missing child, and you're like a detective.
Yeah, he's a
using your supernatural powers to find him.
And you play a detective who has these magical powers, and you kind of see into the past. The game was gorgeous, the writing was amazing, and it was just so awesome, and the ambiance was amazing, and it was mysterious, and I just want to play more. And it's coming soon. That's a this year game.
What's the genre on that one?
I would first person, story-based exploration, puzzle solving with gothic spookies.
Really long.
Do we need a category for that for Game of the Year now?
Set in Wisconsin. So
that's part of the genre.
That is absolutely a genre.
Set in Wisconsin.
So no more 2D puzzle platformers with a twist?
No, it's all about first person. All those other words I said.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy got stabbed in the chest.
With what?
A bird.
It looks like a bird bullet.
I can totally tell we're in Wisconsin.
That's Wisconsin right there.
You can kind of open rifts and see like parts of the crime scene and try to figure out the chronology of what happened.
Yeah, you see the past.
Right?
Yeah, really cool, really good writing. I played the first half hour or so. Again, one of those demos where they told me I had to stop and I wanted to punch the guy right in the face and keep playing. I didn't though because I need job security.
Oh, wow.
Sony also pointed people to a demo on the PlayStation Store called PT.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is the biggest, this is the thing I will associate with this Gamescom the most, just as far as what everyone was talking about afterwards. I mean, even aside from the fact that obviously it ended up being a Silent Hill game secretly, I think it was, with the Phantom Pain, they announced a fake game with a fake studio, and it was like 3.5 months before they finally just came out and said it was Metal Gear. This was a much more immediate thing. Like, people knew within hours of the end of the press conference, and I feel like that's a much more controlled window for something like that. And I think it makes it a little more exciting.
Yeah.
Also, is it really the world's first interactive teaser?
Well, maybe.
I don't know. But yeah, they did a really good job leading up to it with these like bloody snowflake trailers.
No, that wasn't that. That was Until Dawn.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Sony had 2 spookies.
Okay, right.
Yeah. I'm excited to play this though, because we've been in Germany. We haven't actually got to play the teaser. So.
Yeah, so you can download. That's what PT stands for, playable teaser.
It's
a playable teaser.
And at the end, we see the Norman Reedus' character turns around. You see Kojima, Del Toro. It's supposed to be really spooky.
People are really excited about that.
Yeah.
We should also probably mention Until Dawn.
Yeah, I mean,
now a PS4 game,
which I care about now. Like, honestly, when it was a Move game, and that was Gamescom 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it almost went off the grid since then.
Hayden Panettiere is in that game, but then they showed the trailer and didn't even mention it.
Yeah, that was weird.
Her character is not in the playable demo, so I played like half an hour of the game, and her character is only there in terms of the 2 characters you are looking for her. Yeah. So the whole thing about this game is that it's 8 friends go to a cabin, and over the course of obviously, like all horror movies, bad things happen in the cabin, but you play as all 8 of the characters. It chooses when you play as each one, though. You're not just like hop swapping.
Yeah.
But the tagline is, anybody can live, anybody can die, everybody can live, everybody can die.
It's a long tagline.
I know. So that's probably make it snappier.
And this also had a sort of a tonal switch. It was going to be like an 80s teen slasher sort of thing, right? And now it's kind of...
Now it's very serious. It feels like... It feels like not Evil Dead, because Evil Dead is schlocky, but it feels like serious Evil Dead, which I guess isn't Evil Dead at all. So
Evil Dead serious.
Evil Dead, serious. Looks really cool. I like the idea that there's no fail states in the game. It really adapts. It's sort of that Heavy Rain thing where whatever you do, that's how your story plays out.
Finally, they announced DayZ is coming to PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for this.
It's kind of interesting because it's not even officially launched on PC, right?
No, it's not. And on PC, it's still clunky, and like connecting to servers is a huge pain. Usually that stuff gets streamlined when something comes from PC to console, so I'm super excited about that.
I mean, it feels like one of those things like how they announced Minecraft for Vita forever ago, and then it's taken so long to roll out. Like, this feels like we're not going to see this till 2015, I have to imagine. Like, that doesn't, like, because they didn't even mention release timing or anything. I would have to imagine that's going to roll out pretty slow.
Do you think people are going to be confused and call it DayZ and thinking that it's a sequel to Haze? Because no one wanted a sequel to Haze.
You know, because no one remembers that game.
What if they get it confused with H1Z1?
Yeah. But I think it's cool that
that could actually happen.
The developer was saying, like, 3 years ago, this thing didn't exist. And then we made it into a mod, and then it was on PC, and now it can come to PS4. Like, it's really cool how these tiny kernels of ideas can now become games for everyone. I really love that.
What an age to live in.
Oh, what a time, what a time.
That's a recap of Sony's conference here from Gamescom. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Microsoft conference right after these messages. And I also have to say that we are IGN Live from Gamescom, presented by Dead Island 2. We'll be right back.